The classroom was silent. 17-year-old Nia Thompson sat frozen at her desk, staring at the paper in front of her. A bright red 100% was circled at the top of the page in bold strokes. It should have filled her with joy, with pride. She had studied, sacrificed sleep, skipped weekend hangouts, and poured herself into mastering the material. Instead, a thick, sinking dread settled in her chest. At the front of the room, Mr. Douglas Whitman, the AP calculus teacher, paced with visible agitation. He kept shaking his head like a man, trying to convince himself he was dreaming. Then he stopped, turned around, and pointed at the paper on Nia's desk. "This," he said sharply, his tone clipped. "This is impossible." A couple of students giggled under their breath. Others looked at Nia with a mix of disbelief and curiosity. Nia's jaw clenched. "What do you mean, impossible?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Mr. Whitman crossed his arms tightly across his chest. "No one has ever scored a perfect 100 on my test. Not in 5 years. Not on this exam. Then suddenly you—" He paused, his eyes narrowing as they scanned her from head to toe. "You get every single question right, with a margin that even my best students couldn't touch." Nia could feel the tension thickening in the air. She sat up straighter. "I studied. You gave us a review sheet. I worked through every problem." "Mr. Whitman cut her off. "I don't believe it." A ripple of gasps spread through the room. Nia's chest tightened. "Are you accusing me of cheating?" "I am," he said flatly, his eyes boring into hers. From a far corner, Aiden Brooks let out a low chuckle. Across from him, Madison Langley half covered her mouth in mock horror, though the glint in her eyes betrayed amusement. Nia's hands balled into fists on her desk. "That's not true. I've always done well in math. I earned that grade." "Mr. Whitman strode forward and snatched the test from her desk, waving it dramatically. "Then explain this. Solve these problems. Show me your notes." Nia swallowed hard. I did most of the work in my head." He sneered. "Right. So, you magically did college-level calculus mentally?" "I don't think so." He turned to the class. "If she really understands a material, she can solve it right now." The class murmured among themselves. Some looked at Nia with pity. Others looked ready for a show. Whitman had dropped a blank sheet of paper on her desk. "Go ahead. Prove it." Nia looked at the paper. She could do it. She would do it. But something inside her twisted. This wasn't about the math. It was about her. About who he thought she was. She looked up. "Why don't you ask Aiden or Madison to redo theirs?" "Mr. Whitman's face darkened. They didn't score a perfect 100. You did." Her heart pounded, her voice calm but burning. "Or maybe you just don't believe a black girl can outperform your favorite students." A deadly silence fell over the room. Whitman's face went red. "Excuse me." "You heard me," she said. "You never call on me. Never praise my answers. But now that I beat everyone, I must be a cheater?" The class shifted uncomfortably. "I don't care for your accusations," Whitman growled. "I'm reporting this to the principal." He yanked the test paper from her desk and crumpled it. "Your score is invalid." Nia felt the heat rise in her chest. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "Life's not fair," Whitman snapped. At that moment, the classroom door opened. Principal James Cartwright stepped inside. A tall, composed black man in his late 50s, his sharp eyes scanned the classroom. "Mr. Whitman," he said, calm but commanding. "A word." Whitman looked flustered. "Sir, I was just outside. Now." Without another word, Whitman followed. The moment the door shut, the room erupted into whispers. Aiden snickered. Guess the crying act worked. Nia ignored him. Her pulse thundered. Something felt strange. Minutes later, Cartwright returned. Alone. He looked straight at her. "Miss Thompson, can you come with me, please?" Her legs trembled as she stood. As they stepped into the hallway, Nia spotted Mrs. Morales, the school counselor, beside a laptop cart. The screen showed paused security footage. "Do you know what this is?" Cartwright asked. Nia nodded. "The classroom camera feed." He pressed play. On screen, early that morning, Whitman was alone in the classroom, flipping through graded tests. He paused on Nia's, stared at it for a long moment, muttering to himself. Then he slammed it down, pulled out his phone, typed something, picked up the test again, and hissed, "There's no way in hell she's that smart." Nia's fists clenched. "This isn't the first time," Cartwright said quietly. "We've reviewed prior footage. There's a clear pattern." "Mrs." Morales added, "You are not in trouble. But Mr. Whitman is." Suddenly, the door burst open. Whitman stormed out, his face flushed. "This is ridiculous. That footage proves nothing." Cartwright turned to him, calm but firm. "It proves everything. You're believing her over me?" "No, I'm believing the facts." "Mr. Whitman, you're suspended. Effective immediately." Whitman sputtered, stunned. "You can't be serious. Collect your things and leave." Security appeared down the hall. Whitman scanned the corridor, but no one stood up for him. With a final huff, he turned and walked away. Cartwright turned to Nia. "You've just earned yourself a full scholarship." Her eyes widened. "Wait, what?" "We contacted a few organizations after seeing your record. They were impressed with your resilience and intellect." Nia blinked in disbelief. This wasn't just justice. This was poetic. Word spread like wildfire. By lunch, Lincoln High was buzzing. Some were shocked. Others said they saw it coming. At the cafeteria, Nia sat quietly, scrolling through her phone. Messages poured in. Asterisk, you showed him. Asterisk, congrats. You deserve that scholarship. Asterisk, finally, someone stood up to him. Not everyone was thrilled. Across the room, Aiden and Madison sat with their usual crowd, whispering and glaring. Finally, Aiden stood. "Biggest scam of the year," he muttered. Nia put down her phone. She wasn't in the mood, but he wasn't done. "Yo, Nia," he called. "How does it feel to play victim and get rewarded for it?" Gasps. All eyes turned. Nia stood slowly. "Excuse me." "You heard me." Aiden smirked. "You cheated," cried to Cartwright, "and now you're a hero." She took a step toward him. The only person exposed was Whitman. "I earned that grade. Just because you didn't beat me doesn't mean I cheated." Aiden laughed dryly. "Please, you just got lucky." Her eyes narrowed. "Where was my luck when Whitman ignored my hand? Where was my luck when I had to work twice as hard to be seen? Or are you just mad a black girl outsmarted you?" Silence. Aiden flushed, muttered something, and stormed out. Madison followed. The cafeteria erupted in applause. Some clapped. Others nodded. But Nia didn't need their validation. She had already won. The next morning, the auditorium was packed. Principal Cartwright stood on stage. "Yesterday," he began, "Mr. Whitman was suspended after undeniable evidence confirmed a pattern of bias and discrimination. But this goes beyond one teacher. It's about the kind of school we choose to be." He turned to Nia. "Miss Thompson, please stand." She did slowly. Nia didn't just fight for herself. She stood for every student who's ever felt overlooked. For that, we honor her. Thunderous applause. Teachers wiped away tears. Students cheered. For her excellence, courage, and integrity, Cartwright announced, she has received a full academic scholarship to any university of her choosing. Nia covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Looking around the room, she saw what Whitman never saw: her worth, her brilliance, and her place in the world. Not just as a student, as a symbol of justice finally served.